Hello, I'm Fritz Horsman from the Albers Foundation. Josef Albers gave us many ways to see color, to see more color. His book, Interaction of Color, teaches us how to use our eyes to really think about color. One of my favorite exercises in Interaction of Color is making gradients. It may seem very simple, but in fact, it really trains the eye to see very small differences between colors. The gradients we will make today show the transition from one color to another. We'll be using clippings from newspapers, magazines, and any other scrap paper that's handy. Let's look at an example from Interaction of Color. This is actually a reproduction of one of Albers' students' projects from his class in the 1950s when he was teaching at Yale. You can see that the student very carefully cut out lots and lots of pieces of paper that ranged from white to very dark gray, and then arranged them so that there's a smooth transition. We're going to try this ourselves. To get started, I've gathered some newspapers and magazines, scissors, glue, and some white paper that we can work on. Okay, let's get started. The first gradient that I'm going to make is going to go from black to white, so I need lots of different grays to fill in the middle. The newspaper is a great place to start because it's mostly gray. So I've just opened to the middle here, and already I can see that I've got a nice piece of fairly dark gray here. Okay. And that's lighter. Cut out all these different colors of gray from magazines and newspapers, and now I need to put them into order. So first I'm going to put all the very dark ones over here and all the light ones over here, and then I'll find the way to make the gradient between the two. I've got them into an order that I'm fairly happy with, going from black, moving smoothly into dark gray, into medium gray, into light gray, and then all the way to white. So I now need to figure out a way to get this all onto a piece of paper. I think I have more material than I can fit onto this, and so I'll again be using my scissors to cut. I think I'll try to just do even strips of everything. Now we'll carefully glue our strips into place. And voila! Let's look again at that example from the Interaction of Color. There's something very interesting going on in this gradient. You'll notice that the student who made this composition, after making the gradient, put this sort of window frame composition over the top of it. Now that window frame is all one color of gray. It's a flat gray, and that gray is the medium gray of the gradient. It's right in the middle there. Up here, though, this medium gray, when it sits next to the dark part of the gradient, feels very light. But down here, where the gradient is very white, the frame starts to feel much darker. Do you see that? So in fact, if you look at it in the right way, you can see that the gradient here creates an opposite gradient here, where it looks like the frame is going from dark to light, while this gradient is going from dark to light the opposite direction. Now I'm going to go through the same magazines and see if I can find all the colors and then make a gradient of all the colors. I've cut out all of these colors from magazines, and now I need to put them into order. There are lots of ways you can order color. You could go from light to dark, or the opposite. You could go from your favorite color to your least favorite color, or the opposite. What I'm going to do now is sort these into a color wheel. Here is a color wheel that one of Albers' students made in the 1930s. You can see that each color smoothly transitions into the next. Halfway between red and yellow is orange. Halfway between yellow and blue is green. So I'm going to sort them into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then back to red. And I'm going to put them in a circle, and that will become a color wheel. I finished my color wheel. I started with red and then moved into orange, into yellow, then into green, into blue, into purple, then back into red. You may have more colors than I have, or maybe you don't have quite as many. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you're really looking at color and thinking about how colors come together. You don't need to necessarily make a color wheel, although you could. You could put into any order that you want. What's important is that you're really thinking about how that order came to be, though. Is it from your least favorite to your favorite color? Is it from the lightest color to the darkest color? Or maybe something else. Maybe you have another color story that you want to tell. Here's another way to organize colors. This color triangle comes from Albers' book, Interaction of Color. If you make something that you're happy with and you'd like to share it, please do. We would love to see it.